Hiya folks, and welcome to Story Time with Captain Dan. Lovely to be back with you this evening, and got a special story tonight which was the favourite again of Sue's daughter Lucy. And I've got some special greeting going all the way to Melbourne, Australia for Becky and Mick's two children, Sadie and Blake. So this story is for you, Sadie and Blake. I hope you enjoy it. It's a story I do not know. I only came across it very recently. Let's get my hat right. Sometimes it gets a bit wobbly. So this is by Simon James. It's a big book. It might be a tricky one, little, by Simon James. And it's called Baby Brains. It's definitely not about what I was like as a baby and a child. The smartest baby in the whole world. Wow, so this could be quite interesting, couldn't it? I hope I understand it. So Baby Brains by Simon James. In the months before Baby Brains was born, Mrs. Brains was very busy. She read out loud every night to the baby inside her tummy. She played music and languages on headphones to her baby during the day. Mr. and Mrs. Brains wanted to make sure that their baby was going to be very clever. They even turned on the television when the news came on. Mr. and Mrs. Brains were very excited when their baby was born. And it was born a boy. "Oh, our very own Baby Brains," said Mr. Brains proudly. When they brought him home from the hospital, Mrs. Brains laid him down in the brand new cot. "Sleep tight, Baby Brains," she whispered. And the next morning, Mrs. Brains was on her way to get breakfast when she heard some very strange noises in the living room. She opened the door to see her baby sitting there on the settee reading the morning paper. And by the afternoon, Baby Brains was helping Dad to mend the car. "Well, we've certainly got a bright one here," said Mr. Brains. That evening, Baby Brains spoke his very first words. "I would like to go to school tomorrow," he said. That's what babies talk like, you know. Well, the very next day, Baby Brains visited the local school. He sat down with the children and answered every single question. The children were just amazed. At the end of the afternoon, the teacher thanked Baby Brains. "I don't think I've ever learnt so much in one day," she said. On the way home, Baby Brains said, "I would like to go to university and study medicine." And after just 2 weeks, Baby Brains began working as a doctor at the local hospital. We could do with him now, really. He was extremely popular, you know, with the staff and with all of the patients. Word soon spread about this extraordinary Baby Brains. Everybody wanted to meet him. Even made it on the One Show by all accounts. And one night, one special night, some space scientists phoned. They asked Baby Brains would like to help with their next space mission. Well, the following day, Mr. and Mrs. Brains and their baby travelled out to the Space Centre, and after training hard over the weekend, Baby Brains waved goodbye to Mr. and Mrs. Brains and blasted off into outer space. Took me a lot longer to train to be a sea captain, you know. Everybody in the world They held their breath as they watched baby Brains take his very first spacewalk. "Tell us how you feel on this special occasion," radioed ground control. Well, baby Brains looked up at the vast starlit sky above him. He looked down at the vast starlit sky below him. He looked at the whole world in front of him, and he mumbled something. "We can't quite hear you," radioed ground control. Could you repeat that, please? Could you repeat that, please? "I want my money!" wailed baby Brains. "Oh, that's enough. That's enough, Mrs. Brown," yelled the space controller. "Bring my baby home right now, right now." Baby Brains was flown home as quickly as possible. He felt very embarrassed as he stepped down from the hatch. But through the crowd of photographers and cameramen, Mrs. Brains came running. "A beautiful, beautiful baby," sighed Mrs. Brains. She lifted him high up into the air. "A brave little baby," said Mr. Brains. "Can we go home?" said baby Brains. At home, Mrs. Brains gave baby Brains a bath, which made him feel a lot better. Mr. Brains tickled him, which made him laugh. And Mrs. Brains sang baby Brains to sleep. Then they gently laid him down in a brand new cot. It was good to have their baby back home once again. Our very own baby Brains. Our very own baby Brains. Our very own baby Brains, they whispered. And from that day on, baby Brains spent most of his time at home doing the things that most babies do. Well, most of the time, except that is at weekends. Because at the weekend, he still liked to help out at the local hospital. And that's the end of this story. So baby Brains, the smartest baby in all the world, by Simon James. So please keep in touch. Please request some stories if you'd like me to find them, or if you'd like me to mention you in our story time together. I'm very, very happy to do so. But that's enough from me today. Before we go, please sleep well tonight. Good night, oh sweet repose. Don't lie on your belly, 'cause you might just squash your dough. Good night.